Personally, I like to make it as sensitive and as comfortable for the horse as I can, because then it's nice for me. You know, I always say I don't want to sweat. And that's what I don't want to do. So thank you, Miss Margie. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about the things that I personally have a horse do that I like, because I want them attentive to me, because I weigh 135 pounds and they weigh 1,000 pounds. I don't want to get after them. I don't want them to hurt me. So we have instructions going on between me and this horse. Now this is a horse I ride out all the time. He's my ranch horse. So he understands life. So if I start to walk off, he's going to come. I don't have to pull him. And notice I stay a distance away. I always know where they are, either by their shadow or hearing them. I'm really aware. So when I stop, my horse stops. I don't have to take and bang down on the rope to tell him to stop. He knows to stay out of my way. This is simply good manners and safety. So he comes where I want. Now, even our English horses, we teach to lead behind, because if they're behind, it's like they're in a herd, and then they're comfortable. If you have an English horse that's high-geared and you get him right here, he's uncomfortable already because he's almost the leader. And or a Western horse, if you're going to show them, if they will lead quietly, and they will lead quietly behind you, they will be much more quiet going into the ring because they're already in a relaxed state. So my horse is going to go where I go. I know where he is. I can hear him. I can see his shadow. And look how I have my rein, my rope. I never hold a rope like this. If I hold a rope like this and he jerks, it will jerk me. I will scare him. He will jump back. I fall down. So I always have a rope so that it will slide through my hands, or I can drop it. So if my horse is standing here and I want him to back up, I can just tell him to get out of my way. I don't want you in my way. And he's going to go. He's simply responsive. Because remember, the fly. A horse feels a fly. He will stand and swish his tail and itch all over because there is a fly on him. If he can feel a fly, then we can teach him anything. And we can teach him to be as sensitive to us as we want him to be. What it requires is this. You have to become attentive to them. And our problem is that we can't multitask. You have trouble talking to somebody and managing your horse. My instincts are to manage my horse and then talk to the person. That's just how I do it. So my horses are really comfortable. Most horses do not like patting. They like stroking. A stroke. Patting is not very comfortable for them. Stroking is good. Little pats like that, but the big pats you see some people get, they don't really like. So I want control of him. So if I want his head to go down, I put his head down. Because I've taught him that wherever I wanted his head to go, to put it there, and it makes him quiet. He's quiet being in my hands. He says, oh, whew, Sheila's taking care of everything. I feel so much better. So if I want him to put his head down, or put it over here, or put it on, and this is not something I work on all the time. It's just stuff I do. because I want a horse that I have a reason. If I want to put a bridle on him, I can walk up, put his head down to wherever I want it, put the bridle on. If I'm going to take the bridle off, I don't bang his teeth. If I want to give him paste wormer, I can put his head down to give it. If I want to clip his ears, I can clip his ears because I can put his head down. I have everything I can do because I have control of that little piece of him. Just this little piece. So then I would say, okay, now if I want to saddle him, and I have, or something I want to do, and I want to walk around him, I want him to stay there while I walk around to do whatever I'm going to do. And he stayed there because I put my hands down and I walked around him in this fashion. If I want him to move away from me, I can pet him. If I put my hand in a more direct, like touch him, I can move him. I can move him in any direction I want just by reaching up and touching, almost pointing. So I don't get stepped on. I don't get knocked down. My horse never gets banged on because he was in my way. Because how many of you have stood by a horse like this and then had them step on you because they lean into you, and you whack them because they leaned into you? I mean, that's what we do. That's what everybody does. But you can teach them to move any part of them that you want to move. You can move by simply touching. When I stop, he stops. When I put this horse in a trailer, I put him in a trailer and I throw the rope over his back. He is loose. He doesn't turn to come out of the trailer until I walk up to him and invite him out. I never get stepped on. I never get pushed around because he knows what to do. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to do some of the simple things that you all probably do to get your horses out of your way. And then when I stop, I have to let him know I don't want him to go. Because I can teach him to go, but I got to teach him not to go. Go, not go. So it's all in how I approach. If I approach with my hand pushed, like my fingernails out, he'll go. If I just walk up to him to pet him, he'll stand. If I want him to move, I'm giving him a more, not aggressive, but a more firm direction to go. Go, I'm saying. And if he doesn't go, I put my fingers into him. Now I'm going to just walk up. I just walk up. When I'm walking up, I'm walking front view. This is, says everything's calm, you're okay, be relaxed. If he's worried about me, young horse, I don't know if you noticed, but I always kind of walk up sideways. It's non-confrontational, and also, if they did something erratic, if I'm standing this way, I can't get out of the way. If I'm standing sideways, I can go. So when I have any horse that's a little tentative, I go up and I move sideways into him. I can get out of the way. They can go forward, they can go backwards. I'm here, I'm not putting myself in the position of not being able to move out of the way. This is stuff that those of us that ride horses all the time either know or we get hurt a lot. because that's what it's involved with. So the next thing gets to be is the fun of things, of having control of a horse. And sometimes then you get to doing this just for kicks. So when I was playing and showing horses hard, and I had good friends, and one of my really good friends was really one of the great horsemen, and that was Greg Ward. How many of you have ever heard of Greg Ward? Not very many. Well, he was in the quarter horse world, but he's the ultimate one, really one of the ultimate horsemen. And Greg always had to make everything fun. If you're going to walk it out, you had to be teaching it something while you walked it out. You didn't just lead it around. So this is what we were doing. It got to be this game. And we said, okay, let's pretend that we're going to teach this horse to turn around. And so I have to be able to control all parts of this horse. I have to control the back end. I have to be able to control this part, the shoulder, and I have to start the head. And so let's say that I decide that I want him to turn to the right, and I then am going to want him to set this hind foot, and I'm going to play here, and I haven't done this for a long time, so he may not do it very well, and I figured that was the trick. I mean, that was the deal. I wouldn't practice it, because then you can see me put it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this horse take a step with the front foot, cross with the other foot, and then start making a circle and put that hind foot in the ground and just have it, leave it there. I want to dig a hole. I want to see how much of a hole I can dig. Kicks. It doesn't teach them to turn around when you're on them. It does teach them to respond to your body. And it really teaches you, as a horseman, to know what you're looking at when you see a horse moving its left side out or its right side out or losing the shoulder or the hip. This is the stuff you learn then. So I'll take my hand and run it over here and tell him to turn his face. I'm going to touch him here to move that front foot. Okay, I'm going to move this front foot now. Okay, and it stepped back, but I want it to cross over. Okay, so I'm going to get him started. Now my body is holding him. And wherever I go, and now I'm going to be too far forward, and that hind foot is going to come off the ground. Am I too close? Should I be getting further away? Okay. So I've now got him a little bit spread out, and I'm going to have to work to keep that left hind foot in the ground. So I'm going to move forward, so I'm blocking. I'm going to tell him to go. I'm going to block. Now, I'm going to move forward a little bit so I can let him set that hind foot. So I'm moving my body in a way to enable him to keep that hind foot in the ground and make as big, whoop, going to lose it. I can see we're going to lose it. So I'm going to step forward so that I'm going to push his weight back. I'll wave my hand at him, get him started again. Now, this all then has to do with me being in the right spot at the right time. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it really shows you what the person handling the horse has to do with it. If the horse is expected to do it by himself, I got to watch that tummy. And I touched his side because I could see his side coming towards me. So I reached over and touched it to get him in alignment again. Okay, now I'm going to stop, and he's going to stop. Simple. Fun. educational.